Well, first of all, when I knew that Ernest wanted to have this conference, I knew that we had to show all the different aspects of the whole spectrum of autism. So we have two very special keynote guests. The first one is Temple Grandin. And Temple Grandin is very well known. In fact, a movie has just come out about her on HBO with Claire Danes, and I think actually it's up for an Emmy from what I understand.
Wow, I did not know that. I did not know that.
Yes, and so Temple is a friend of mine, and she has been for quite some time since I wrote my first book. I didn't know her back then, but I asked her to write the intro to my first book, and she immediately contacted me after reading the manuscript and said, this book has to be published. And ever since then, we've become close friends. And she accepted to be keynote at this virtual conference, and she's going to be speaking on a topic that she doesn't usually speak on. She wanted to start talking now about how specific examples can help with teaching. So that is what her topic is going to be about, and she will speak a little bit also about how sensory processing is going to be, actually sensory processing disorder is going to be part of the DSM now. And all the discussions that are going on about whether or not they're going to include it in this upcoming new edition. Other keynotes on Sunday, because Temple will be speaking at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time on Saturday. On Sunday, the other keynote, representing the other side of the spectrum from Temple, is my son Jeremy, who will be presenting using PowerPoint with voice. So Jeremy will be the keynote on Sunday morning, and he will be speaking about learning with autism, a personal viewpoint. Jeremy has been a part of general education. He's been a part of special education. He's been in schools in 3 different countries. He's had many treatments and therapies, and here he'll be speaking from his point of view of what it felt like having those treatments and therapies and which ones were really helpful to someone like him. As you know, not everything works with everyone. So that's why as parents you have to have access to these kinds of conferences and information where you can learn things and then choose what you think would work for your child.
Now I guess, sorry to interrupt you here, but he's going to discuss essentially how these treatments that he was taking affected him.
Right.
And from the standpoint of someone who has autism and how it helped him. So it's kind of cool because he can sort of tell you, you can sort of tell another young adult, hey, these are the things you're going to go through, and this is what I went through. So it's sort of like he's telling you from his perspective, not from a parent's perspective, but his perspective. That's what I think is so unique about this.
Right, and it's very rare that someone who's nonverbal has actually been able to learn to communicate in a way and to explain about these things. There are more and more people out there learning to communicate, and I push Jeremy in the sense that Jeremy has said that he's interested in presenting, he's interested in talking about autism to help other people give back to the community. So I am helping him in that area because I think it is valid information, and we want to encourage other people like Jeremy to be able to have their voices heard. Interesting story about Jeremy to encourage all the parents out there. When Jeremy was diagnosed about 18 years ago, I was told to find a good institution for him. And I have. It's called college. Jeremy's now taking his first class at community college. He is graduating from high school this June.
That's great.
Yes, with a full academic diploma. And so for all your parents out there, don't get discouraged. And it's not about curing so much as it is having people reach their full potential. Jeremy's very handicapped still in many ways in terms of things that include motor planning, but yet he can communicate, and we know that he's smart. And if you can communicate, that's half the battle. He can help us now figure out what's helpful to him. Another very famous person with autism besides Temple is Donna Williams, who has written many books.
Yeah.
And she is based in Australia, which is another reason why these kind of conferences are really cool, because with webinar you can visit anywhere around the country.
So she's going to be talking to us
from Australia.
From Australia. So she's like 16 hours
behind.
Gosh,
she's the first person that I organized with the time slot after Temple. And actually, it was kind of complicated because they are ahead of us.
Right, 16 hours.
Right, so that's why she's actually ending the first day, because it's early in the morning for her.
Yeah.
Anyway, and Donna will be talking about mind blindness and meaning blindness, and that has to do with how the sensory information that people with autism receive, how it's translated, and why it's so difficult for them to make sense of their world. So I've heard her speak, and it's truly wonderful information to have, again, from someone who has autism. Another person who has Asperger's syndrome who will be presenting is Valerie Paradis.
Oh, yes.
Yes, she is the mother of Elijah, and she has written a book on self-advocacy. So how do you teach a teenager or a young adult to become an advocate for themselves so that they can learn to speak up for themselves as they grow up? And it's really an important life skill that needs to be taught.
That's a great skill.
Yeah.
That's a great skill.
And we have Debbie Byler, who is with the Ohio Department of Mental Retardation and Developmental Disabilities, and she is going to be speaking about toileting, which is a very, very practical information that we all need to know about.
You know, it's so interesting because in the 27 webinars we've done, that's one topic we have not covered, but it's been the one topic everyone has asked about.
Well, you know, it comes up and I talk about it because I'm somewhat of a little bit of an expert on toileting, but I'm so glad this book, she actually put her method out in a book which has just come out. Her book is called Teach Toileting, and in that you will learn things about toileting that we never usually think about when we're trying to toilet train someone. It's really practical. We also have Darlene Hanson, who's talking about augmenting communication and expanding communication, and that's more for people who have less verbal skills but need some way to communicate in a different way. We also have Lisa Lieberman, who will be speaking about finding one-to-one providers to help with your child. How do you find someone to look after your child or care for your child so that you can have some respite? Dr. Josh Fader, and he's talking about Floortime. We have Andrea Mackin, and she's a board-certified behavior analyst who will be speaking about applied behavior analysis. We have someone doing an intro to biomedical interventions.
Of course.
And also the GFCF diet.
Right, the GF gluten-free,
casein-free.
Casein-free, yes.
Right. And we can't forget occupational therapy. Someone will be here, Shannon Schlottman from the School Options Clinic will be speaking on that topic.
Okay, and School Options, what's that about?
School Options is really an excellent occupational therapist called Chris Vincino, who started this practice. At first it was just himself, but he was getting so many requests because occupational therapy and sensory integration are very important to autism, but not many people knew how to work that with also an ongoing ABA program or Floortime. And so he was very good at integrating that, and that's why he's expanded his practice and he has more people working with him now.
Good. So that's great. We've got that person here to speak about. Fantastic. Good deal.